Good morning, students. I hope you all are fine and safe at home. Today we are going to begin with our new lesson, that is 3.6, The Merchant of Venice. We'll begin with the reading of paragraphs followed by the explanation. So let us begin. Antonio was a merchant who lived in Venice, a prosperous city in Italy. In those days, that is about 500 years ago, sea voyages were dangerous, and yet some adventurous merchants travelled across the seas. Some other spent a lot of money in sending ships to faraway countries. These ships brought back spices and other treasures from India and other countries. The merchants sold these things in Europe. They made a lot of profit in this business. So here in this paragraph it is said that this story is about 500 years ago, and there was a person named Antonio who was a merchant. Merchant means trader, who used to live in Italy, and during that time sea voyages means sea tradings were dangerous. Still people used to go around the countries to purchase things or to purchase spices and goods which they used to sell in their markets and used to gain lots of profit. Let us proceed. At the time when the story begins, Antonio was waiting for his ships to return with merchandise. He had put almost all his money in the ships. Antonio was a kind man. He had many friends, but his best friend was Bassanio. Bassanio was a young and handsome nobleman, but unfortunately he had no money. Bassanio wanted to marry Portia. Portia was beautiful and intelligent. She was the only daughter of a very wealthy man. Her father had died, leaving her a large estate. So now here it is said that Antonio was waiting for his ships, as he has put all his money into that ships, and Antonio was a very nice man. He had many friends, but out of which his best friend was Bassanio, and Bassanio was young, handsome, and he wanted to marry Portia. Portia was very beautiful and very intelligent, and she was the only daughter of a rich father who died, and he left large estate for her. Let us proceed. In his will, Portia's father had written how Portia's husband should be selected. He had set a test for her suitors. They had to choose between three caskets, one of gold, one of silver, and one of lead. Each casket had something written on it. On the gold casket, it was written, "Whoever chooses me shall gain what many men desire." On the silver casket, "Whoever chooses me shall get as much as he deserves." On the casket of lead, "Whoever chooses me must give and hazard all he has." So now here Portia's father has left a will. Will means a wish which is written on a piece of paper, and in that he had written how Portia's husband should be selected. He had kept three caskets or three boxes which were made up of gold, silver and lead, and whoever chooses the right basket or right box will be chosen as Portia's husband. So let us see what happens next. One of Portia's suitors was the Prince of Morocco. He chose the gold casket, but when he opened the casket, the message inside said that it was not the right casket. All that glitters is not gold. Another suitor, the Prince of Aragon, chose the silver basket, but that too was not the right casket. Bassanio wanted to try his luck with the caskets. To do that, he had to travel to Belmont, where Portia lived on her estate. He needed money for that. When Antonio came to know this, he wanted to help. He told Bassanio to borrow money in his, that is Antonio's name. They went to Shylock, the Jewish moneylender, and asked him for the money. So now what happened is, one of Portia's suitors, suitor means a person who wanted to marry Portia are known as suitors, or a person who wanted to marry anyone as a suitor, was a prince of Morocco. He chose silver casket, but unfortunately it was the wrong casket. So again one more suitor came, and he was a prince of Aragon. He chose the silver basket, which was again the wrong casket. So Bassanio decided to try his luck regarding those caskets, but to travel to Belmont he needed lots of money, which he did not have. And when Antonio came to know about this, he said Bassanio to borrow money in his name from a money lender named Shylock. Now let us see what happens next. Shylock had a lot of money, but he was not at all generous. Money was all that he cared for. He did not like Antonio because Antonio sometimes lent people money without charging any interest for it. So Shylock decided to take advantage of the situation. He gave them the money on a strange condition. If Antonio failed to return the money within 3 months, Shylock would cut off a pound of Antonio's flesh. Antonio agreed to this and borrowed the money for Bassanio. Bassanio went to Belmont. He saw the caskets. He chose the lead one. That was the right casket. And Bassanio won Portia's hand by choosing it. Portia too was glad to marry Bassanio. In the meanwhile, Shylock heard that Antonio had lost his sheep. He was very happy that Antonio would not be able to pay the money. He took Antonio to court and demanded that he fulfill the strange and cruel condition. The Duke liked Antonio and was sorry for him. But what could he do? Antonio had written a bond to Shylock, and according to the law, Shylock was right. Now what happened is, Antonio and Bassanio went to Shylock, who was a money lender. Money lender means a person who lends money on interest. And Shylock had lots of money and he was very proud of that, and he used to hate Antonio because Antonio used to help people who needed money. So Shylock decided to take advantage of the situation. So he said that if Antonio fails to give back the money, he would cut 1 pound of a flesh from his body. So Antonio agreed to it. So Bassanio went there. He chose lead casket, which was the correct casket, and at the end he married Portia. And between the time when Portia and Bassanio were getting married, there come the news that Antonio has lost all his sheep. So Shylock thought of taking advantage of the situation. So he took Antonio to the court and demanded the condition which he had asked for from Antonio. Duke used to like Antonio, but he couldn't do anything because according to the bond or the agreement which was signed by Antonio and Shylock, and according to the law, Shylock was right this time. So now let us see what happens next. When Bassanio and Portia heard all this, they rushed back to Venice. Portia told Bassanio to pay Shylock twice the amount to save Antonio, but Shylock was adamant. He demanded only a pound of Antonio's flesh. Everyone in the court, including the Duke, felt that Shylock's demand was inhuman. The Duke asked Shylock to show mercy towards Antonio, but Shylock was not ready to do so. He felt that Antonio and others had treated him badly before and he wanted revenge. Just then, a young lawyer entered the court. He said that he would fight Antonio's case. He asked Antonio whether he had agreed to Shylock's condition? Antonio said that he had agreed. Then the young lawyer requested Shylock to show mercy, though the law was on Shylock's side. The lawyer pleaded that mercy is the quality of God Himself. When a person shows mercy to someone else, they are both blessed. Mercy was more valuable than a king's crown, but all this had no effect on Shylock. So now what happened is Bassanio and Portia came to know about what all is happening with Antonio. So Portia told Bassanio to give twice the amount to the Shylock which was taken by Antonio, but Shylock demanded 1 pound of Antonio's flesh. So everyone in the court, including Duke, felt that Shylock was behaving inhuman. Inhuman means extremely cruel. And even Duke requested Shylock for some mercy, but Shylock thought that he was treated badly by Antonio, so he wanted to take revenge. All these things were happening. In between that time, one young lawyer entered the court and he asked Antonio that did he agree what Shylock had demanded. Antonio said yes, I agreed. So after hearing this, even that young lawyer had a talk with Shylock and he asked to show some mercy, but there was no effect on Shylock. So now let us see what happens. The young lawyer then said that the law allowed Shylock to take 1 pound of flesh, and he could do that. At the same time, the lawyer warned that while cutting off the flesh, Shylock should not shed even 1 drop of Antonio's blood. Also, he should cut exactly 1 pound of flesh, nothing less, nothing more. That would not be allowed by the law. Shylock realized that he could not do what the young lawyer asked him to do, and he accepted his defeat. Antonio's life was saved. Who was the young lawyer? Bassanio and Antonio found out later that it was none other than Portia herself, dressed as a young man. Later, it was learned that Antonio's ships were safe, and so he had not in fact lost his money. Thus, the story, which could have ended in a tragic manner, ended happily. So now what happened is the young lawyer said to Shylock that while you remove 1 pound of flesh from Antonio, not a single drop of blood should come out, and you see that you cut only exactly 1 pound of flesh, nothing more or nothing less, because even that is not allowed by the law, because as per your agreement only 1 pound of flesh should be taken from Antonio. So Shylock realized that this is not possible at all, and then the Shylock accepted his defeat and Antonio's life was saved. So after this, everyone started thinking that who is this young lawyer? Then they found out that it was Portia herself who was dressed as a young man. And later they also came to know that Antonio's ships were safe. They were not drawn into the sea, and he also had not lost all his money, and story ended happily. I hope you all have understood. Read this lesson once by yourself. We'll meet next time with the next video. Thank you.